All right, turning now to a wrap of your top stories of the day. We're learning more about the man accused of setting a Danville, Virginia council member on fire. Police say Shotzi Hayes confronted council member Lee Vogler at his office and doused him with gasoline before setting him on fire. Vogler was flown to a local hospital for treatment. The owner of the building is calling it a senseless act of violence.
North Carolina just reported its first case of West Nile virus for the year. Doctors say the patient's from Durham County. The virus carried by wild birds and can be spread through mosquitoes. Most folks don't get symptoms, but some may get a fever or headache. To stay safe, doctors recommend using bug spray and wearing loose clothing.
All right, let's take a final check of those area roadways before you head out the door this morning. Still following these two active crashes that are ongoing. This one here at I-45, westbound at exit 65, that's South Boulevard, and just to the west of it, another one, it's Westinghouse Boulevard at Granite Street. Chris?
90s today and tomorrow, then the 80s take over, an 80s takeover, so listen to your favorite songs. We have 80, 81 for this coming weekend, but notice that one little sliver of red. It's for after 2 o'clock on Friday that we have our going weather alert. We're going to see on and off rainstorms today, but the big deal about tomorrow is that you have some slower moving storms that are going to pack a more powerful punch. That's where we have the most tropical air, so that's going to lead to our best flood potential. Stay weather alert, better and cooler by the weekend.
Gotta like that. A reminder, folks, the news doesn't end here. Coming up at 7 a.m. on WCNC Plus, we're going to investigate what's behind a recent spike in crime in Uptown, plus how parents can help avoid troublemakers as their kids head back to school, and how the NBA's newest star is being honored in a unique way in his home state.
That starts in just a few minutes at 7 over on WCNC Plus. We hope that you'll join us there. Make it a great Thursday. And I saw Richard, and I'm like, are we taking Richard or not? I don't know. That was my reason for pausing.
No, I get it. What do you think about like what our viewers need to know as they head out the door? Like.
All right.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us live streaming at 7 a.m. here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington. A live look this morning at the Queen City. We are finally getting some rain and some relief from the heat. Many of you probably had some rain overnight. Meteorologist Chris Mulcahy joins us now. And I guess we should really appreciate this cool down.
No, absolutely. Because yes, it's going to feel more like late September for our highs, but it is also a nice break from the heat. Because if you really think about it, we've gone well over a month where it was only one day that was in the 80s, and that was 86. Now, it is going to be a little bit cloudier, but we're going to take it. It's a small price to pay. Today, similar highs, though, compared to the last 2 days. We hit 94, 94. Today, I have 93. Scattered showers and storm chances throughout the afternoon heading into the evening. Similar to yesterday, some will see it all, some will see none at all. And I still think that some areas very isolated could see up to a total of an inch throughout the day today. And that muggy air, well, it's really turning up today and tomorrow. And then we are seeing it head the opposite direction, actually borderline comfortable air with that big cool down heading into the weekend. So current temperatures right now, 75 degrees, looking absolutely gorgeous off in the distance there. All of our cameras showing a little bit of that low level cloud deck. So some of us looking up and you're seeing an overcast sky, but up above, I promise you can see it right there. It is indeed sunny. Our heat streak is going to continue. As I mentioned, the high temperature is 93 for today. This will be day 25 of 90 plus. It's the fourth longest streak in Charlotte history. Not moving up to the number 3, thank goodness. And yesterday officially was day 44 at 90 plus. The reason why this is significant is the average per year, 44. We've already matched it. Today will be 45, outdoing last year by a long shot. We still have a ways to go, only halfway to the most we've ever seen back in 1954. But at this rate, we'll see, even though we're heading the opposite direction for the first days of August, which is a nice treat again. Flash flood risk, we are going weather alert for the late day on Friday and Friday night because of the flood threat. Heavier downpours, even an outside chance for some localized wind damage, possibly from a strong to severe thunderstorm. So that's where things are going to be the most active. But as you can see here for our excessive rain impacts, this is just a fancy way to saying, hey, it could flood. Your low chance today, medium threat on Friday, and a whole lot of nothing, just cloudy on Saturday with maybe a passing shower. Here's what we saw through the overnight. I want to show you this as an example, and because I really think that this could happen again tonight and also the following night. Oftentimes, we are not going to have our models pick up on this. So this literally was a cluster of thunderstorms that came together, and sometimes when they form a committee almost, they can start to move in their own fruition. They almost turn in what's called a mesoscale convective system. That's the beginning process of what we were seeing. It broke down too soon, but it's these type of deals that can last much longer and even provide some overnight severe weather. We are just shy of that, but we're also seeing a lot of energy out there. Already some leftover showers and storms now pushing through Pageland, Chesterfield County, and the southern parts of Union and Anson County. You could have a quick burst of heavy rain over the next hour or so. Here's what it looks like by the afternoon today. We're looking at isolated showers and thunderstorms as early as 11 o'clock, but I think it's really after 2 that we're seeing most of the activity. It's one of those days that it could rain really any hour of the day, especially after 10 o'clock, and then we'll see on and off showers, on and off storms. Our futurecast cuts things off by about 10 o'clock, seeing some signs of rain by tomorrow morning. So what I just showed you for the loop last night, I think there's a chance that some of us are waking up with some wet roads or some active rain before the sun rises up again tomorrow. And then here it comes. This is the main weather alert window. By the afternoon, let's call it really after 2, we're seeing some slow-moving thunderstorms move in. But notice this line. It is creeping along where you can have one storm after another. 1 to 3 inches of rain is possible during this day alone. So again, stay weather alert. And then the backside of this, eventually, we're going to see a downgrade as far as the cloud cover goes, some lingering showers heading into your early morning hours, and then eventually we will see the sunshine return by the end of the weekend. Coming up, I'll have your full 7-day forecast. Also looking at the long term, we're going to look over the next 10 days, showing you when we're back to the 90s since we're returning to 80 degrees on Saturday. The roads are damp, but things are getting better. Let's double check and see how our morning commute is behaving with Majestic.
Good Thursday morning, everyone. Live look outside, I-77 coming in from York County. This is Gold Hill specifically. Not a bad start to the day. People are definitely heading out the door, starting their morning. More area roadways are getting a little bit more crowded with cars as people are doing just that. 75 degrees. I'm noticing that that in a lot of my cameras, the roads are starting to dry up after all that rain from last night. We do still have 2 active crashes that I want to let you know about. This one right here, it's a crash on I-485 westbound at exit 65B, that's South Boulevard there, seeing some backups. And then just off to the west, another one here, it's at Westinghouse Boulevard and Granite Street. Here's a picture of that ongoing crash. So it looks like just 2 cars impacted there. Might slow you down a little bit, but as you can see, there are still several lanes where you can get right around it. If you take Independence inbound, we do have a little bit of a backup starting to build, or if you're taking I-485 out towards Matthews, nothing we're not used to this time of the day. That red starting to pop up, meaning that more cars are all heading in the same direction. I-77, if you're coming in from Rock Hill, good morning to you. Looks all right until you get a little closer to Uptown. That's when we start to see more red popping up, indicating that stop and go traffic. And then I-77, if you're coming in from Cornelius or Huntersville, no big slowdowns there, or even out towards Kannapolis, things look fine. For Belmont, I-85 inbound, those colors are starting to appear, meaning that we do just have more cars that are heading out the same direction. And again, no big accidents there. Just a few things that I'm watching for now. We'll have another check on those area roadways all coming up here in just a few minutes. Lisa.
All right, Majestic, that sounds good. 7:06 now. Overall crime is down right now in Charlotte, but there is growing concern this morning over recent incidents in Uptown. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane is live in Uptown this morning. And Richard, I know that you were looking at that data and you actually found a slight increase in the Uptown area.
Yeah, we've seen an increase, Lisa, right here in Uptown, where people come to play, to work, just to enjoy the center of this region. Charlotte's big area is the Uptown area. And if you can't feel safe here, it kind of puts a black eye on the whole city. Now, while CMPD says citywide trends are promising as far as crime is concerned, the Central Division, which includes Uptown, is still facing escalating crimes. Despite an overall 8% drop in citywide crime data from CMPD's mid-year report, it shows that violent crime rose more than 9%, actually 9.1%. This fueled by a 54.5% increase in robberies, including a rise in armed incidents. One person shot Wednesday morning on East 5th Street in Uptown. This just days after another person stabbed just a few blocks from that location at the intersection of East Trade and North Tryon. Police say in response they have officers who are increasing patrols, intensifying enforcement of robbery-related offenses, and coordinating with community and commercial stakeholders. This to heighten their street level presence. The department also says they're working to upgrade surveillance infrastructure, and they're working closely with nightlife venues to enhance public safety protocols. They say all this is to make Uptown as safe as possible.
There is nowhere you can go in this city on a Friday or a Saturday night where you would encounter more police officers per city block than you will in Uptown Charlotte. If there are people that reach out to you that say that they don't tolerate this, that they will not accept this behavior, I don't think anybody accepts this behavior. I don't.
And it's important to note that police say that while he was talking about the mid-year crime stats or about weekend activity, police say they also have officers patrolling throughout the week as well. But it's important for the public to help police be eyes and ears when they can't be in every place at every time. If you see something, they're asking you to say something, to get involved, to help keep this city safe. We're right here in Uptown. Richard Devane, we'll send it back to you.
Richard, go ahead, please.
I was going to say that it really involves all of us. I think you made the point earlier because you may not live in Uptown. Maybe you don't even work there. You don't travel there often. But when we talk about this area growing, it's because a lot of the investment, a lot of the businesses are there in Uptown.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Thank you, Richard. Neighbors in the Sugar Creek area are calling for action this morning as they face some growing safety concerns in their neighborhood. They are demanding city and county leaders do something about the crime that's plaguing the area. WCNC Charlotte's Tradisha Woodard spoke to community members who are seeking solutions to the crime.
Well, many people living in the Sugar Creek area say problems are growing louder. Now they're looking to city and county leaders for solutions.
Sugar Creek looks like any busy stretch in Charlotte, but some folks living here say there's a vicious cycle tucked away in these corridors.
Folk are dying in that corridor, right on that block. There's a lot of drugs, there's a lot of prostitution.
The corridor has just too many people walking. They may be lying around, they may be sitting around on a permanent basis.
It's why many here are packing out this meeting.
The city kind of pointed me to the county. County leaders kind of pointed me to the city.
Now leaders on both sides sit here in this room, and residents are hoping to finally get some answers. The biggest question tonight spiraled around CMPD's plan to combat crime in the area.
I want to know exactly what the city is going to do to make Reagan Drive safe for my community.
A spokesperson with CMPD speaking out, saying they've amped up police presence in the corridor before, leading to about 400 arrests. They say they've quickly learned it's not a problem they can arrest their way out of.
What we have learned is we have to have resources and things to assist us. So when we drop them off at Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office, we have to have something in place, ready for them, so that it's not the typical revolving door.
He says they're currently working with multiple organizations to make this happen. Other county and city leaders also spoke up, saying they're willing to help. They say the goal is to resolve the Sugar Creek issue once and for all.
Us who have complaints commit our personal time to ensure that we're keeping our community safe.
Tradisha Woodard, WCNC Charlotte.
7:11 here on WCNC Plus, and now to update on that massive earthquake and tsunami scare that kept the West Coast on alert all day yesterday. We're getting a better look at the damage caused by that 8.8 quake that hit off the Russian coast. Several buildings damaged, including a school and airport there. By the way, this was the strongest earthquake globally since 2011 and is ranked as one of the top 10 strongest ever. It also brought a tsunami warning in Hawaii, California, Washington state as well. Some waves did reach the U.S., but nothing major. This morning, all evacuation orders and warnings have been canceled for the U.S., but some parts of South America remain on alert. However, officials warn that strong currents may still occur along all coasts.
This morning, hearings continue following January's deadly mid-air crash over the Potomac River. You may remember an American Airlines jet with a flight crew from Charlotte and an Army helicopter collided, killing 67 people. Investigators are working to find out what went wrong and how to prevent future crashes.
We look at man, machine, and the environment in which they're operating. And that environment in which they're operating, we're not talking about literally the weather. That's part of it. What we're talking about is also safety policies, safety procedures. What are the systemic safety issues? So it's always easy for people to focus on there was a pilot error here. We don't know. We're going to look, but it's possible there was zero pilot error here.
Investigators claim the FAA missed several warning signs, including 85 near misses in Washington airspace. Those hearings are expected to last 3 days.
Live look right now at the futures market, and investors should be pretty happy. We can see all in the green there on the right. The Nasdaq and Dow way up in pre-market trading a little over 2 hours before it opens. All comes just ahead of tomorrow's trade deal deadline. As the White House scrambles to make last-minute deals, President Trump issuing new tariffs against India.
NBC's Alice Barr has the latest on that and the president's ongoing fight to lower interest rates.
With just hours to go until President Trump's Friday deadline, when hefty tariffs kick in for global trading partners that haven't reached a deal, the president announcing an agreement with South Korea for billions of dollars in new U.S. investment and 15% tariffs on goods entering the U.S., lower than he'd threatened, but sharply higher than in recent years.
It's literally trillions of dollars ultimately being brought into our country. We're now negotiating with various other countries, and the rest we're just sending out the bill.
Among the countries getting a heftier tab, India, slapped with a 25% tariff plus an additional import tax penalty for buying Russian oil amid the war on Ukraine. And then there's Brazil, hit with a 50% tariff that has many American coffee shops reeling and weighing price increases.
It would only be by cents because we don't want it to be where it's too much for the client.
That risk for tariffs pushing prices up, making the Federal Reserve keep interest rates steady rather than the rate cut President Trump has been publicly pressuring for to boost the economy.
We have no inflation, and we're very strong, and we should be lowering the rates.
Inflation ticked up slightly in June, but has trended downward overall this year, alongside low unemployment, strong market growth, and now word that after shrinking at the start of the year, the U.S. gross domestic product grew, a better than expected 3% this spring. with outlook for the months ahead still uncertain. The Federal Reserve Chairman said higher tariffs have begun to show through in the prices of some goods, but that their overall impact on the economy remains to be seen. Rather than wait and see, President Trump arguing to try it out, saying that if lowering rates did lead to inflation, the Fed should just raise them again. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
7:15 now. More than 10 months after Hurricane Helene, recovery officials say they've removed more than 14 million cubic yards of debris from western North Carolina. Now, to put that in perspective, it's enough to circle the earth. And while crews are still working to clear waterways, officials say the scale of the disaster is slowing them down.
I think the big one for us right now is some of the immediate need is continued funding for the U.S. Army Corps to complete the missions that they have here in North Carolina. I think that's going to be a really critical piece.
Officials say they are still waiting to see $200 million in funding to pay for help from the Army Corps of Engineers, and that FEMA is aggressively denying requests.
Thanks a lot, Lisa. So our Charlotte top 5. One more day of July, and then August all of a sudden wants to feel like September, so the months are a little confused. But this is a historic July that we've just went through. The average temperature for our highs and lows, 84.7. That is a technical tie with 1986, but that means the second hottest July in Charlotte history. And that's 146 years of record keeping. Absolutely wow. And if you break that down even further, it's actually been the warmest set of lows that we've had in July history, the second overall average, as I just mentioned, and the third hottest highs. Our high temperatures have averaged 94.8 degrees, so pretty much 95. That's insanity. However, the top spots, 1993 and 1986, their average high was closer to about 96, 97. So really just shows how hot those years were. Our highs today, 93. So it's another day in the lower 90s, and it still feels as much as about 98 to 101 because of how humid it is. And that means our 7-day temperature ranges has 5 days in the 80s, but only 2 in the 90s. The reason why that's significant is we've pretty much gone 40 days with only 1 day that dropped down the 80s. That was 86 when Chantal came ashore. It was just a cloudier day. And that's exactly what we're going to see for the 7-day forecast. So we're weather alert for your Friday. Has a flood potential. I went through that at the top of the hour. I'll do that again at the top of the next half hour. But 92 by tomorrow, and then after that, boom, we're seeing a big drop. And the main reason why is we have a combination of cold air damming, so that's where cooler air, rain-cooled air backs up against the mountains, and it also keeps things pretty cloudy. So it's going to be certainly cloudy going forward. I think by the end of your Saturday, you might get a brighter sky, and if we get more sunshine, these temperatures will be higher. But as of right now, it definitely looks like they're going to be suppressed. That's also going to be a return to the 60s for our lows, so we'll have our first below normal low that we've had since June 3rd. And temperatures aren't in a hurry to get back to 90 degrees. We're actually in the mid 80s still through Wednesday, but we should be back to 90 by next Friday, and then the lower to the mid 90s look like they want to take back over, which is more of a common occurrence in August compared to what we're seeing to begin with. Also, our lows taking a break down to the 60s before they trend back into the lower 70s. As for those rain chances, they're highest today and tomorrow. They come down for their backup on Tuesday and Wednesday. But I'll show you the future cast in the near term, the long term, coming up at the top of the next half hour. But right now, at this moment, at this second, we're going to go over to traffic with Majestic Storm.
All right, good Thursday morning, everyone. If you got places to be, you got things to do, let's get you out the door this morning. Thankfully, I'm not seeing anything too majorly concerning. This is a live look outside. Overcast skies, temperatures into the 70s. Still noticing a lot of our area roadways are starting to dry up, so that is nice for us. Oftentimes when we see a lot of wet road conditions, we have more accidents. We do have a couple of active things to let you know about, though. There's currently a crash ongoing at on I-485 at West House. This is exit 65B and South Boulevard. That yellow here is just meaning that cars are moving a little slower than they typically would be if there wasn't an accident there. Just off to the west, another crash at Westinghouse Boulevard and Granite Street. This is a picture here. It looks like 2 cars are involved, but you can still see there are some roads right around it that you can still avoid that. We do know now that there's actually an object in the road. We don't know exactly what the object is. It's at Houston Branch Road and Brook Hollow Road. We'll keep a close eye on everything for you and have another update all coming up in just a few minutes. All right, Larry, what you got for us today?
On this day in history, it was one of those situations, not that many notable events, but we do have to go way back in time to pick out on this very day in history. In fact, we go back to the year 1790 on this day in history. The first patent, the very first patent in the history of the United States was granted this day to Samuel Hopkins, and he had this way of making potash. I know it's not something we talk about all the time, but fertilizer is very important, and that's the main ingredient in that. So the patent was granted for that. And here's the document that you would see at the Smithsonian, but the original document is at Mount Vernon and signed by George Washington and his Attorney General. In fact, we can take a look and show you exactly what we're talking about there in the background right there. And the two signatures translated is Attorney General and obviously George Washington. Monumental on this day in history. I'm Larry Sprinkle.
Larry, thanks. The Panthers held their second padded practice of training camp yesterday. It was a competitive session, which Coach Dave Canales said he loved to see.
That's right. Our Danielle Stein and Locked On Panthers host Julian Council talked about that, plus some looming contract talks.
Absolutely, and Dave Canales told us after practice that he kind of liked the competitive nature that we saw from the second day of pads, where this was the longest practice that they've had so far out here. And there was a couple plays. JC got an interception, punted it. Chuba Hubbard had another touchdown, punted it. Dave's like, we don't want those kind of plays, but we do love it, though, with the competitiveness. So that's good to see, because I think that's something that people questioned about this team early last season, whether they could have that competitive nature. Then we saw it towards the second half of the year where they finished off with a 4-5 record in those final 9 games. We saw Bryce's stint, even when the defense was struggling, that they didn't back down. And we've seen that carry over so far this year. So that to me is a positive, and certainly if the coach is thinking that's a positive, then I don't think we can argue with it.
Brant Tillis, he had some pretty interesting things to say if we're talking money when it comes to the Panthers right now. So what do you make of what he had to say about Icky in terms of, yes, they did just talk about bringing him on for that option year, but they're going to kind of wait out to see how he does because they see him as a player more on the rise.
Yeah, I found that to be interesting that he does not feel, and these are his words, he does not believe that Icky is up for a contract right now, which if you look at in recent years, Derek Brown with J.C. Horn, the Panthers have gone and tagged him, let them play on that 4th year, and before they've even gotten to the franchise tag, or the 5th-year option rather, like with JC this year, they've given him an extension. So I'm kind of curious if that's going to be the same cadence that they take of Icky, where he's been exercise of the 5th option, and now he's going to play his 4th year. And if he continues to ascend like they think, well, then he get a big deal. And they said they want to do things early. So I suppose early for them is maybe after their 4th season, especially for first rounders going into that 5th-year option, that's enough time to where they don't want to wait until you're in a situation where, I guess with Brian Burns we saw last year, you may have to move off of a player because you're not able to get those contract conversations the way that you want them to. So I found it very interesting and enlightening what he said about Icky, but also what he said about Taylor, and also just saying how it's difficult for him as a guy who handles caps and contracts to be able to take away the emotion when handling with the players and with their agents. So we'll see how that materializes with the two bookend tackles here in Carolina.
And there is more to Danielle's conversation with our Locked On team and with Panthers players from training camp.
You can find more coverage right here on WCNC+.
All right, time now for the juice. And Beyonce is breaking records. No surprise, right? Her recent Cowboy Carter tour is now the highest grossing country tour in Billboard history. That tour earned more than $400 million, making Beyonce the highest grossing and best-selling artist of the month. According to Billboard, it is also the shortest tour across any genre to reach that milestone. And Halloween is exactly 3 months away, but Home Depot, they're not wasting any time. Already getting into the spirit, the company released the season's decorations, including the iconic giant 12-foot skeleton and the 5-foot-tall skeleton dogs and cats. The new collection also features characters from horror films like Bride of Chucky and Frankenstein. The decor will be available online starting on Monday, August 4th. It's so early.
It seems a little early to me.
A bit early.
I mean, it was 102 degrees a few days ago.
Correct. And now we're talking about
I'm not thinking skeletons
Halloween
and Bride of Chucky quite yet.
But you know there's somebody out there who's
Of
like,
course.
oh yeah, it's time.
Of course. And those people who also are going to decorate for Christmas in September.
This is true. We see you.
We do, we see
That's
you.
not us, but we see you.
That's right. All right, live fixtures over Lake Norman right now, 7:24 on your Thursday morning. We got another check of weather, traffic, and breaking news right here on WCNC+.
Good morning, everyone. Still a damn start to the day. Look at these low-hanging clouds. We had a good amount of rain that rolled through the overnight and early this morning. Temperatures right now 75, feeling like 75, even though it is super humid. But check this out through our Dallas camera. You can look down below. This almost looks like the ocean down below. So those low-level stratus clouds might be preventing you from seeing what's up above. Beautiful blues. So it might take a little bit over the next couple hours to erode that cloud cover. Our dew point's not coming down too much. And the higher the dew point, the more uncomfortable you feel. So that's still going to allow us to feel as much as 99 to 101 for the spike, the peak today, with high temperatures reaching the lower 90s. But if you receive storms earlier, as many of you might seem as early as 11 to noon, that is going to suppress your temperature, so you might be closer to 90 than 93. But a lot of us getting around that 92, 93 degree range for our highs, very similar to the last couple of days. On and off storms throughout the afternoon. Majestic.
All right, let's take a look at some of those drive times as you're heading out the door this morning. Just under 40 minutes if you're coming in from Gastonia, just under 50 if you're coming in from Salisbury. Otherwise, here's a live look outside. You can see most of our area roadways at this point are dry. More people now heading out the door as they're starting their morning commute. Few ongoing wrecks. You can see this one right here is going to be on Independence inbound. It's right at exit 244. That's Television Place, so allow for a few extra minutes as you're heading towards the uptown area.
You are streaming live on WCNC Plus at 7:30. Thanks for joining us. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. Happening today, Mecklenburg County leaders are giving you the chance to ask more questions about that 1-cent sales tax for transit.
We've been talking about it for quite some time. Now, this comes just a day after the county finalized more details of that bill. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards joins us in the studio this morning. And Destiny, there is still quite some concern.
That's right. Tonight's meeting, community meeting, is meant to explain what this 1-cent sales tax would do. But even after county leaders finalized more details yesterday, there's still questions about who will really have a say in how the money is spent if this passes. Now, the sales tax plan is part of the newly passed PAVE Act. If approved, it would fund transportation projects like roads, rail, and buses across Mecklenburg County. Yesterday afternoon, the Metropolitan Transit Commission met to finalize referendum language and discuss the creation of a new transit authority. That board would control 60% of the revenue, but some advocates worry it won't reflect the people who rely most on public transit. Officials say at least one member appointed by city council and county commissioners must be a regular rider, but critics say that still leaves too many decisions in the hands of non-riders.
If you're a person with a disability, you ride the bus, you might say, hey, I know that the bus on Clinton Road is sitting on an incline. I need that to be fixed.
Tonight's meeting will be held at the West Charlotte Recreation Center from 6 to 7:30, and the next chance for the public to speak on the referendum will be August 6th at a county commission meeting just before they vote on whether or not to put this on the ballot. Ben.
Yeah, back to that transit authority. When would that actually take shape?
Yeah, so it will actually take shape January, so just a couple of months after it's voted on in November. Again, 27 members would be on this transit authority, all appointed by the county and the city, with someone appointed from both the county and the city representing actual riders. But as expressed in the meeting yesterday, there are people who believe that that's not enough of actual representation for people who use transit every day.
I think that's a fair concern. I mean,
sure.
not to take anything away from the city leaders or county leaders,
Right.
or state, but like you got to have the stakeholders who are actually writing it on a daily basis.
You need to know the people who are boots on the ground, but
Yeah.
like really experiencing it every day.
So important. All right, Destiny, thanks.
Thank you, Destiny. Let's check in with Chris now to find out more about our forecast. A lot of us saw some rain overnight.
Yeah, some of us actually up to almost 3/4 of an inch when all was said and done. Since it's not the prettiest morning, I want to start off with a little cuteness. Check out these two best friends. This is JoJo and Lainey for my dog of the day. By the way, I do this each and every day, Monday through Friday, around 6:25. And they're the best of friends. A rescue shout out also to Mike McCormick. And it's going to be an okay morning, actually great for the dogs because the pavement's not as hot. Don't have that sunshine really starting to pop until the next couple of hours. Some of us still dealing with a low deck of clouds, so it doesn't look the prettiest, but hey, it will start to get brighter before you know it. Some of us are already starting to see that. Afternoon highs reaching the lower 90s, but realistically it could feel as much as 100 to 101 when all is said and done. And our excessive rain is going to increase over the next couple of days, but we have today and tomorrow that have a low to a medium risk. But we're weather alert for your Friday because that looks to be the main and the best chance for a strong thunderstorm, one, but then mainly for some of those flooding rains, very low chance for hail, and lightning, of course, is usually frequent with these events and these storms. So that's why we're weather alert by the back end of your Friday. It's really after 2 that the storms really start to flourish, and then those heavy downpours will be on and off throughout the day, but it's when you have one storm after another. We do have the setup for some training rain. We'll keep you updated, of course, online and on air, and of course on WCNC+. Have you noticed that maybe the thunder has been louder than normal recently? The ones that almost frighten you because they're so loud, they shake the house? Well, that's because of what's called the temperature inversion. And this especially happens during the evening time. All of that warm air at the surface rises up and it cools the ground. So that literally creates almost like a ceiling to the atmosphere. So that sound is able to bounce back and forth as if it's in a tunnel. So that's why you oftentimes will hear that long rumble of thunder. It lasts much longer. It can be much louder depending on how close that bolt of lightning is. So quick little weather IQ there, squeezing that in. By noon, we're looking at an isolated shower or thunderstorm chance. By about 3 o'clock, we're looking at scattered thunderstorms. A lot more of us starting to see these. I want to use this as a good example. So I was talking to my director, Rusty, this morning. I feel like I name drop him a lot. He said he got big time thunder and big time rain yesterday in Matthews. I live in Northwest Charlotte. I didn't see a single drop of rain at my house. So it really depends where you are, that even a finite scale on this map from the northern to the southern part of the 485 loop, you're going to have a difference of a couple hours of rain to nothing at all. It just really is all dependent on location, but they're all over the place. Once you get to about 7 o'clock, we're still having some scattered showers and storms, but just like what we had earlier this morning, band of showers, that could happen again. And our Futurecast does a really bad job through the overnight of trying to pick up on it. I see some signs of it by about 8 o'clock, so I don't want people to get caught off guard. There's a chance that we could have some morning showers. And then by your Friday afternoon, 2 to 4 o'clock, we're really starting to see those storms build. But look at these big, heavy rains, and this system's pretty slow moving along a frontal boundary. That's going to allow for a higher chance for flooding rains, localized nuisance flooding, and even a little bit more than that. So it's not out of the question to have a severe thunderstorm warning or a flash flood warning is even more of a possibility. By 8 o'clock, we're seeing those showers starting to die out a little bit. Through the overnight, I think you're going to have some on and off rain, some periods that could be a little bit heavier than others. By about 4 o'clock, we still have some really thick clouds. All the rain that we see is going to eventually evaporate, condense, so we will have some lingering fog. By the end of the day, you have a chance for a brighter sky, but it's actually a much better chance for some sunshine for your Sunday. So Sunday is the pick of the weekend, by the way, but both days much cooler, 80 and 81. So that's really feeling more like mid to late September, and we rock the mid 80s through Wednesday. We should be back to around 90 degrees by next Friday. Enjoy the cool down while we have it. Enjoy your traffic report that's happening right now as well.
All right, good morning, everyone. If you're heading out the door, here's a live look. This takes you out to South Carolina. You can see this is live I-77 at Gold Hill. Lots of people awake and heading out for their morning commute. Want to talk about some of our drive times because we are slowing things down now that more people are up and at them. 40 minutes if you're coming in from Gastonia. If you're starting your morning in Belmont and heading towards Charlotte, it's going to take you just under 30. Another live look here, I-85, not too bad. You can see all those clouds, but most of our area roadways by this point are pretty dry, but we do have a few ongoing wrecks I want to let you know about. Unfortunately, the first one takes you out to Independence. Look at all of this red here, indicating stop and go traffic. It's a crash. It's on Independence westbound after exit 244. That's Television Place. So we're starting to see those slowdowns right there. You're going to want to allow for some extra drive time if you're typically driving inbound on Independence. Another crash here on I-485 westbound at exit 65B. That's South Boulevard. This has been ongoing for over 30 minutes now, still not cleared. And then another one just to the west. It's at Westinghouse Boulevard at Granite Street. Now, as we head over towards the east, we're getting reports of something being out in the middle of the road. We're not sure what it is, but it's on Houston Branch Road and Brook Hollow Road. So just be mindful, drive around it, drive with caution, of course. And then the inner loop of I-485 out towards Matthews, really slowing people down as they're heading out the door. No accidents there, just a lot of people traveling in the same direction. I-77, if you're coming in from South Carolina, doesn't look too bad until you get closer to the uptown area. The uptown area, not too bad, nothing too out of the ordinary. Much of the same along I-77 from Cornelius to Huntersville, even through Belmont on I-85. Ben.
All right, Majestic, thanks. Now to an update this morning. As overnight, we've learned a 17-year-old is now charged in the death of a Cordova junior firefighter. We told you about Gabriel Innes' death back when it happened, and now a Richmond senior high student is charged with first-degree murder. Deputies say he killed the 16-year-old at home in Ellerby back in June. The controversial Silfab solar plant in York County facing a new lawsuit this morning. Jason Rhodes claims he was fired after raising safety concerns. He says he reported issues to the company and then to the fire marshal, which prompted an inspection and a stop in some of the work there. Silfab says it's reviewing the allegations and denies firing Rhodes because of his complaints.
A scam alert this morning as kids get ready to head back to school. This school year, parents, family, and friends will have the chance to stream their students' sports games. But as the Better Business Bureau warns, that doesn't come without thieves trying to steal your money. Reporter Juliana O'Rourke joined us actually on the Live Impact News to share some of the signs to look out for.
Now, what are the red flags here?
Yeah, so anything, if there's a platform that says you can stream something for free, there is a chance they may ask you for your information, your name and your email. They want you to register an account. However, if they ask you to pay for anything, that's where you want to be super cautious and don't put in your credit card information, especially if they're touting that it's free. But just like we always talk about with fake websites, shopping online, and looking for different things, you want to check out whatever website you're clicking on, especially if you're just kind of randomly searching online, especially if you see that link on a social media platform. You want to look to see, are there spelling errors? Does this look like an actual legitimate site? What's the URL? Is it weird? Is it an actual company? So those are some of the things you can do when you actually get to the site. Is it secure? HTTPS. Those are all things that you can look at. One of the biggest recommendations we give people is if you know the school that they're going to, go to that school's website. See if they actually would stream directly from their website, or even if they give information on how to stream that particular game, just because obviously it's their school. They want people to watch, right?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good tip.
So those are some things that you could do to be careful so you don't get taken advantage of, because we know, unfortunately, this happens every day to people.
Cool. Back to school photos. Very exciting time once again. These are all the things that we look forward to for the young ones and that first day of school. So now trying to capture these yearly milestones, what information here in these photos can also be risky. What are you talking about?
Yeah, so we know that people like to post, their kids going back to school. It's a big milestone when they enter a new grade. So oftentimes we see these pictures where they're holding a sign, they have their name, what school they're going to, what grade they're in, maybe their height, their age. A lot of information that you don't want to get in the wrong hands. students. And so I know it's very popular. A lot of people like to do it, but we encourage people to not do that, especially with putting out all of that information about your child. Scammers can take that information, they can try to make friends with your child. Now they know where they go to school. And if somebody approaches your child and they know all this stuff about them, you know, they know your parents' name, they say, oh, I'm friends with your parents, I know you're in this grade, I know you go to school here, and I know you're such and such age, and all these things. That is really scary, especially for, you know, a child that's young.
You can watch that full interview right here on WCNC Plus.
Fort Mill parents, listen up. Major traffic changes are coming just days before classes start on Monday. For the first time in years, the district will not have traffic guards directing vehicles. We're told its vendor backed out. Don't worry, crossing guards, they're still going to be helping students there at painted crosswalks. 6 schools will only allow right turns during pickup and drop off to keep things moving. Police also plan to increase their presence, and the district urges parents to consider the bus or leave early. Of course, it comes just a year after a Fort Mill crossing guard was hit and killed while working. That crash, deemed an accident, no charges filed. For all the details regarding some of those new rules in place, head on over to the WCNC mobile app. At York School District 1, Monday will not just be the first day of school for students, but also for their new superintendent.
Dr. Heath Branham joined the district this month. I got a chance to sit down with him recently to talk about his vision for the district. So this is your 30th day? July 1st was your first day?
Yes, officially.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did some contract work in June to work with the previous superintendent for transition purposes, which was really helpful. But I've had an incredible first month meeting the people that make this district come to life, kids, families, leaders, both inside of the district office, but also our communities, our school principals.
Is it what you expected?
Well, it is a position, but I don't see it as a nameplate or an office or a chair. I see it as impact. I see it as someone who can help connect the dots for the great things that are already happening here, addressing any challenges that we have head on, but I also see it as boots on the ground. So yes, I have an office, I have a nice chair in my office, but to me, the best leadership is with people, in the trenches with people. And so that's why I've spent so much time outside of this building, getting to know people, getting to know their story, because everyone has a story. And listening to what has been uniquely tradition here, that are great traditions for students and families, but then also looking at opportunities for areas of challenge.
What's your vision coming in? This is your first year. What are you looking forward to this year, and what's your vision for this district?
Right, so when I talk to people about vision, I would never say it's my vision. I think it has to be our vision. For a vision to truly be realized, it can't be about one person, it has to be about the collective whole. And so this district has a mantra or a vision of being connected as one. I mean, we're connecting all the dots, and all of that is to support students. We do have a theme this year that connects with that vision, and that is to be seen, to be heard, and to belong. Because every staff member wants to be seen and to be heard. Every student wants to be seen and to be heard. Every community member, parent, family member wants to be seen and be heard. And at the end of the day, we all want to belong to the greater organization.
Now, we also talked about AI in the classroom, growth in that district, parent involvement, and lots more. And you can watch that full interview coming up on our live Impact News right here on WCNC Plus starting at 9 this morning. All right, take a look at your screen right now to scan this QR code. Many students begin the school year without the supplies they need. That's why we're partnering with United Way for a back-to-school supply drive. Again, you can just scan that QR code to donate, or you can head to our website, wcnc.com/community. You can donate until August 11th. Some athletes are back at practice this week, but with some new changes to address the scorching temperatures.
We know safety is a priority, but are there specific rules in place that schools are required to follow? WCNC Charlotte's Megan Bragg verifies.
In North Carolina, there are rules that outline when athletes should take breaks, drink water, and not practice at all. So let's verify. Our sources, Dr. Karen Shukla, a sports medicine provider with Novant Health Randolph Family Medicine, the Environmental Protection Agency, and the North Carolina High School Athletic Association. With the summer heat, there are many dangers of athletes practicing in high temps.
When we are exposed to high degrees of heat and very humid weather,
our bodies are unable to regulate our temperatures effectively, and we can suffer from wide range of symptoms.
According to the EPA, children and teens are among the most vulnerable to heat-related illness. The NCHSAA has set rules for athletes training during the summer months. If the heat index is less than 80, students can have unlimited practice with scheduled mandatory breaks. When it's 80 to 84, coaches need to monitor students more closely with mandatory breaks. When it reaches 88 to 89, that's when all athletes must be under constant observation. Equipment and pads should also be removed and rest breaks every 15 minutes. Recovery tools like immersion tubs should also be in place. When it reaches 90 or above, practice should be suspended. Coaches are supposed to have an emergency plan in place ahead of practices. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
And if you have something you'd like us to verify, all you got to do, email us at verify@wcnc.com.
And just kind of like a correction there, what they actually go by is the wet bulb temperature. So what this is it factors in the cloud cover, the moisture in the air, and multiple different factors, even the winds, and it comes up with that more 80 to 89 range. So that wet bulb temperature really just measures on the effects of the body. Once you get close to about 90, then within about a 50-minute time, that's a lot of stress on the body. So I've even talked with Charlotte FC, and they've physically said that they do that measurement for the wet bulb temperature, which is a better judgment about how our bodies sweat and the effects of athletes in that heat. Luckily, it's a little bit lower today, but still on the threshold that after 45 minutes, there'll be some extra stress to the bod. And then as we work our way through the next few days, we're going to have some cooler blue arrows starting to blow in behind this cold front. It technically stalls out, turning stationary, but eventually it's going to slide down to the south. I think we'll see more sunshine heading into your Sunday, but Saturday could be a little iffy on the cloud cover. Thursday, today, low chance for flash flooding, and then it's a moderate threat as we work our way through your Friday. So Friday's the best chance that we could have some flash flood warnings. Don't like to see that, but I want to show you specifically the rainfall that we could see. So this is just an estimate. It's not saying that you're going to have up to an inch around Monroe today, but it shows the nature of today, that there's some areas that pretty much have a 0. Here, I'll even roll this up into tomorrow morning. Look at Lincoln, 0, a quarter inch around, say, the Charlotte area, and then you're seeing some spots of red and purple that are representing 1 to 2 inches. That's just over the next 24 hours or so. If we move this through the afternoon on Friday, we're seeing some values up to 1 to 2 to even 3 inches, and this little orange color is showing a range of 3 to 5 inches of rain. So over the next 2 days, some areas could see up to 3+ inches, and that's where you could have some of that flash flooding. So an inch today with 2 inches tomorrow is kind of the perfect 1-2 setup for there to be a saturated soil, a quick heavy rain that could lead to a flash flood warning and some minor flash flooding. This is not the worst setup that I've ever seen, just letting you know that there's a chance for training storms one after another, and some of them could be pretty slow moving, so 1 to 2 inches of rain could fall in a hurry. Today, isolated storms at first, then they start to turn a little bit more scattered as we work our way through the afternoon. Scattered showers, scattered thunderstorms, and then eventually they'll break down by the middle of this evening, but I don't think they're done. I think it's going to be the same scenario that we saw last night, that you're going to have a hit or miss shower here and there, and then we are eventually seeing them cluster together, and there could be some more widespread rain to kick off tomorrow morning. That means more wet roads. Here's your Friday. Look at the amount of rain that we're seeing here already by about 3 o'clock. This little line here is where we're really keeping an eye on, because that line could provide some really heavy rain, slow moving as well through the afternoon, heading into the evening. Lingering rain still possible right around 8 o'clock. And then the back side of this, we're still keeping the clouds around. We'll have some light rain on and off throughout the overnight, and eventually we shift the winds out of the northeast, which is going to cool us down. And there's a slight chance that you see more sunshine a little bit later on in the afternoon, but as of right now, Saturday not looking to be all that pretty. As for the muggy meter, though, over the next 2 days, that's going to be the muggiest in the near term, even spiking up to 75. That is super humid, so it's more tropical air mass, but check out where we're going. By Saturday, it's just uncomfortable. By Sunday, it's actually only a little bit sticky to no problem range, and we're going to hold that on heading into your Monday as well. So our 7-day forecast, the tale of two seasons, or a tale of 2 months more so. And it's not just because we're calling it August tomorrow. It's more August-like for August 1st, but by August 2nd and 3rd, 80 degrees, which is more September-like, and actually 80 to 85 is literally what you usually have during the month of September. Eventually by next Friday, August is back. So Majestic, August is confused.
Just a little bit to start out the new month, that's for sure, but I don't think many of us are complaining. We have had a long stretch of that dangerous heat and humidity, so those low 80s are going to feel real nice for us. Heading out the door this morning, if you have places to be, it's not too bad. You can see our major interstates not looking terrible this morning, but we do have several ongoing smaller incidents. Now, here's a problem. If you're heading out to Independence, you got some problems. Look at all that backup, that red here indicating stop and go traffic. It's westbound after exit 244. That's Television Place. So just heading inbound, that's where we are following that ongoing crash. It's already slowing people down there on Independence. This one here still has not been cleared. It's on I-45 westbound at exit 65B. That's South Boulevard. You can see those colors there, meaning that cars are just moving slowly. And then this one just got cleared. It's on Westinghouse Boulevard that I've been talking about, the one on Granite Street. It is all done at this point. So making some improvements. We do have reports that something's in the middle of the road. We don't know exactly what it is. It's on Houston Branch Road and Brook Hollow Road. So just be mindful of that. The inner loop of 485 out towards Matthews really starting to get jam-packed as well. And then finally, the last accident I want to let you know about, it's the newest one. It's right here on Tuckasegee Road at Wilkinson Boulevard. So slowing folks down for the morning commute. Another check on those roads coming up in just a few.
All right, Majestic, thanks so much. All right, check this out. Former Duke basketball star Cooper Flagg being honored in his home state of Maine. Drew Peters reports on how some farmers are paying tribute in a unique way.
Some communities honor their hometown hero with a statue, but here at Thunder Road Farm in Corinna, they're honoring Cooper Flagg with a tribute in the form of corn.
Cooper inspires the crowd at Duke or anywhere when he gets an open dunk and brings the crowd to life, and that's kind of what he's known for.
This design is something owners of Thunder Road Farm say took months of collaboration with Cooper's mother Kelly and the rest of the Flagg family.
Oh, they're thrilled, and she's been so much help of helping to design what she wanted on it.
Included in the maze is also Cooper's nickname, the Main Event. The design was brought to life with the help of image mapping software courtesy of Utah-based company The Maze.
We draw it out and we transpose it over this grid on the computer, and that grid lines up perfectly with the grid in the field that's planted when the farmer plants the field.
Using that grid as a base, the Maze owner Brett Herbst says he and his team then painted and mowed each line of the image.
We like to cut it when it's really short, like 6 inches to a foot tall. And that way you can see the ground and your grid system really well.
The PVs say there's still a lot of work that needs to be done to make sure the paths stay in tip-top shape though.
Knowing these people personally, we are probably putting our most effort into this maze that we've ever had.
Hours of manual labor in the heat, they say will all be worth it when they get to see families filing into the maze.
All these people, all these little kids come out here who idolize Cooper. You know, they're 9 or 10 years old, they love Cooper, and now they're going to come out here, walk through him, and get to play in our area and just have fun, and it's great to see.
By the way, the corn maze opens to the public starting September 13th up in Maine if you want to take a trip.
You're headed that way.
That's right.
All right, well, we are going to take a quick break. We'll make sure you keep it right here on WCNC Plus. Another check on weather and traffic in a couple minutes, and then we'll be back with more of the day's top headlines at the top of the hour.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's going to be sizzling by the afternoon, not as much as we have been, but we realistically, because of the dew points, could be feeling more like the upper 90s to around 100 degrees throughout the afternoon, and temperatures getting into the lower 90s. On and off showers and thunderstorms are going to be a possibility, but one of the bigger stories that we have going forward is the flood potential. So you're going to have on and off showers and storms as early as 11 to noon today, on and off throughout the afternoon, and then we'll continue on and off rain tonight. But tomorrow we have a medium risk for flooding. So that's why we have a weather alert for the back half for your Friday. Really after 2 o'clock is going to be that potential. And then the front is going to settle in by the weekend. That's keeping our highs right around 80 degrees Saturday and Sunday. And we're still stuck to the 80s really through most of next week. It's not until Friday that we're back to 90 degrees, Majestic. What's going on around town?
Well, it's starting to get busy as we are now looking at 7:57 before you head out the door. 33 minutes if you're coming in from Matthews. Good morning to you. 35 if you're coming in from Gastonia. Here's a live look outside. You can see those area roadways for the most part are nice and dry for us. No longer seeing a lot of pooling out there either. As far as my traffic map, we do have a few accidents. This one is really going to slow you down if you typically take Independence. We have a crash at 277. That's Television Place. Another crash here on I-485. Westbound lanes at South Boulevard. Join us over on WCNC Plus for more.
Streaming live right now at 8 a.m. here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington. Overall, crime is down right now in Charlotte, but there is growing concern this morning over some recent incidents in Uptown.
WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane now live for us there in Uptown in First Ward Park. And Richard, you looked at the data and you actually found a slight increase specifically there.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Not just First Ward, but Uptown. Overall, crime is on its way up, and that's troubling trend for police. And they say that's troubling for those folks who live, work, play right here in the Uptown area. Good morning to you guys. A good Thursday morning, everyone. And CMPD says while citywide trends are promising, the Central Division, which includes this part of Uptown, is still facing escalating crimes. Now, despite an overall 8% drop in citywide crime, data from CMPD's mid-year report shows that violent crime rose more than 9%. 9.1% actually, and this fueled by a 54% increase in robberies, including a rise in armed incidents, right, all in the Uptown area. One person shot Wednesday morning on East 5th in Uptown, just days after a person was stabbed just blocks away at the intersection of East Trade and North Tryon. That seems to underscore the problem that police have, and they say in response, officers said they've already increased patrols, intensifying enforcement of robbery-related offenses, and they've also been coordinating with community and commercial leaders, the stakeholders, if you will, to heighten their street level presence. Now, the department also says they're working to upgrade their surveillance infrastructure, working closely with nightlife venues to enhance public safety protocols. We remember when Deputy Chief, when they had the crime stats released just a few weeks ago, said the object is to make Uptown as safe as possible.
There is nowhere you can go in this city on a Friday or a Saturday night where you would encounter more police officers per city block than you will in Uptown Charlotte. If there are people that reach out to you that say that they don't tolerate this, that they will not accept this behavior, I don't think anybody accepts this behavior. I don't accept this behavior. I can assure you that none of our officers or detectives do. I want the community to be angry about this.
Yeah, and also Deputy Chief Butler says that basically those officers he talked about on the weekends, that was for a specific incident when they had the shootings at those nightclubs. That's the same thing that goes on throughout the week as far as officer presence here in Uptown. So he says, while they have these increased presence, this increased patrols, they say it's important for the public to also help out by being those extra eyes and ears of the police force. Anytime you see anything at all, make that call. We're right here in Uptown. We'll send it back to you.
Well, beyond the safety issue, which is the most important one, the city also has a PR issue on its hands in that crime in Uptown, if running rampant, is meaning that fewer people are going to be going to Hornets games, fewer people are going to be going to Panthers games, fewer people are going to be going out and about in Uptown. And if that happens, Richard, the city has a big, massive problem on its hands.
Ben, you're absolutely correct. I mean, let's go back just a little bit. Let's just go back a few years with one of the biggest jewels in Uptown at the time, the Epicenter. Constantly, we were reporting about issues at the Epicenter. People saying that there were robberies, shootings, all highlighted or underscored by that incident where a businessman in town happened to be an incident victim caught in gunfire, shot and killed. That's a black eye for the city. These are the type of things that make it hard for Charlotte to say we're the crown jewel of the south of this part of the Southeast Carolinas or of the country when we have this crime issue. So this is something that police say they're trying to get their hands around. You know, they did have good reports about juvenile crime seeming to go down, other crimes in other parts of the city going down. But as you said all morning, this is the center, this is the hub of this region, Uptown Charlotte. So it's important that they get their arms around this one. And that's why they say it's important for community partners, business leaders, just everyday folks, anyone out there to help them as much as possible. When you see anything, say something. Help them out.
By the way, you also have to say the pandemic changed Uptown drastically. So between that and this, it's sort of a double hit.
Yeah. And here's the thing, the reputation for the city, you know, many of the buildings are new and shiny and clean. The weather is great. All things are good. You also want to put safe in that.
Yes, you have
right?
to.
That's a huge selling point.
You have to.
All right, Richard Gervain, thanks so much for that live report.
All right, 8:05 right now here on WCNC Plus, and we want to go to some live pictures right now. What you're looking at right here is the Kennedy Space Center, where the SpaceX Crew 11 is going to launch later today. Launch is set for 12:09 p.m. We'll be keeping an eye on this all morning right here on WCNC Plus.
And of course, all of those launches are weather dependent. And speaking of weather, why don't we find out about the conditions here? A lot of us saw some rain overnight. Some people didn't. And cloudy conditions continuing today.
Yep, looks like we're back at it again. So rinse and repeat the same forecast. We had 3 days in a row that it was 100 and just hot, barely any rain. And now we've had 3 days in a row, or today will be day number 3, of 93 to 94 degree highs, mix of cloud and sunshine, and yes, pop-up showers and thunderstorms. The rain that we saw last night and early this morning was actually the most widespread rain that we've seen in days. And I think we could have another scenario tonight into tomorrow morning, but then the same thing goes for the afternoon. Here in Lowesville, you're also looking at some of those low-level clouds. So some areas looking up just at pure gray or white skies. That's that low-level stratus deck. That'll start to break up and you'll see those beautiful blues as I was just showing you, just depending where you are. Isolated showers and thunderstorms right around Patrick. Good morning, Patrick, here in Chesterfield County, over to Bennettsville and Laurinburg. And it's only down here that we're seeing any pop-up showers and storms for now. But here's what we saw last night. And the reason why I want to show you this loop is look what happened. You had a couple of storms, they clustered together, and then it literally turned into its own minor weather system. It's called a mesoscale convective system. It's just the lesser version of it. These usually turn into big-time severe events. This is just the same type of structure, but it's the storm event or the storm fuel that we have in place that's causing our muggy meter to show this guy you have that today and tomorrow, and then it's really over the next couple of days that you have the humid air, and then heading into the weekend we see a nice little downturn behind a front. So this front is going to work its way through the area really later on tonight heading into tomorrow. That's going to allow for a ton of showers and storms to develop really as we have an upper level low that forms right around the frontal boundary, which is jetting in a little bit more storm activity. And this is going to stall down towards the south, keeping clouds around for your Saturday, but it's going to make all the difference because of the cloud cover, rain, cooled air, and just the front shifting the winds. We go from last weekend at double 100-degree highs to 80 to 81 for the first weekend of August. So what a difference a cold front makes. And the thing with cold fronts is oftentimes they don't fully move through and give us this nice little relief this time of year, and we're lucky enough to have it for August 2nd and 3rd, because check it out, we still have that borderline uncomfortable air on Saturday, still feeling better. By Sunday, it might be just a little bit sticky to even that borderline no problem range. So get excited, everybody. Our Thursday outlook for excessive rain, just meaning your flood threat, low. Tomorrow, it's up to a medium threat, and that's why we're going weather alert for the back end. And it's because of the tropical moisture. Whenever you have tropical moisture like this is also known as precipitable water. It maximizes how much rain can be squeezed out of these thunderstorms. Higher rain rates, especially when they're moving slow, that's the perfect double duo for a flood threat. And it's not really until about your Saturday morning that this area red gets out of here, and then eventually even some blues flirting with the area. Raleigh is actually going to feel really comfortable by the back end of the weekend. Here's a look at your futurecast for today. I'm only going to go through Thursday, and then we'll take a little deeper dive and a look at what Friday is shaping up to be. Isolated showers and thunderstorms forming after 11. It's scattered through the afternoon. Some see nothing. Some see a bunch of rain up to an inch. It's on and off showers, on and off storms, and then same thing like what we saw just last night. You're going to see clusters of storms that could linger into the early morning hours, creating a wet road for your morning commute. We'll have some lingering light rain for your Saturday under an overall overcast day. Some more sunshine pops for my pick of the weekend Sunday. Still rocking the 80s for the next 7 days. It's not until about day 9 or 10 that we're back to 90 degrees. So we deserve this, Majestic. I know you and I are both excited.
Yeah, looking forward to a little bit of a cool down, that's for sure. Feeling into the 60s, and the overnight lows will be nice as well. I-77 here at Gold Hill, you can see there's a live look. Area roadways are definitely busy as you're heading out the door, so just be mindful of that. Not too bad as we're looking at I-85 there, where temperatures are mainly into the mid-70s. Our drive times this morning look like this: 28 minutes for both Belmont and Matthews. Another picture as we're looking at our maps now. This one is still ongoing, this wreck here. It's on Independence inbound at exit 244. That's Television Place. It's really backing people up about 1 to 2 miles. Another crash here at Tuckasegee Road and Wilkinson Boulevard. It's not 485 here with that big backup, but right next to it. And then finally, want to let you know that we still are looking at these reports of something being in the road. We don't know exactly what it is, but it's on Houston Branch Road and Hollowwood Road. In addition to that, I-45, the inner loop there out towards Matthews, starting to back up even more than it was just a few minutes ago. And then if you're coming in from South Carolina, you look fine out towards Rock Hill and Fort Mill, but once you, of course, get a little closer to the uptown area, it's going to slow you down as more people are heading inbound. Lisa.
All right, Majestic, thanks so much. Approaching 8:11 now, and neighbors in the Sugar Creek area are calling for action this morning as they face growing safety concerns in their neighborhood. They're demanding city and county leaders do something about the crime plaguing the area. WCNC Charlotte's Tradisha Woodard spoke to community members who are seeking solutions to the crime.
Well, many people living in the Sugar Creek area say problems are growing louder. Now they're looking to city and county leaders for solutions.
Sugar Creek looks like any busy stretch in Charlotte, but some folks living here say there's a vicious cycle tucked away in these corridors.
Folk are dying in that corridor, right on that block. There's a lot of drugs, there's a lot of prostitution.
The corridor has just too many people walking. They may be lying around, they may be sitting around on a permanent basis.
It's why many here are packing out this meeting.
The city kind of pointed me to the county. County leaders kind of pointed me to the city.
Now leaders on both sides sit here in this room, and residents are hoping to finally get some answers. The biggest question tonight spiraled around CMPD's plan to combat crime in the area.
I want to know exactly what the city is going to do to make Reagan Drive safe for my community.
A spokesperson with CMPD speaking out, saying they've amped up police presence in the corridor before, leading to about 400 arrests. They say they've quickly learned it's not a problem they can arrest their way out of.
What we have learned is we have to have resources and things to assist us. So when we drop them off at Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office, we have to have something in place, ready for them, so that it's not the typical revolving door.
He says they're currently working with multiple organizations to make this happen. Other county and city leaders also spoke up, saying they're willing to help. They say the goal is to resolve the Sugar Creek issue once and for all.
Us who have complaints commit our personal time to ensure that we're keeping our community safe.
Tradisha Woodard, WCNC Charlotte.
8:13 right now on WCNC Plus, and now to an update on that massive earthquake and tsunami scare that kept the West Coast on alert all day yesterday. We're getting a better look at some of the damage caused by that 8.8 magnitude quake that hit off the Russian coast. Several buildings damaged, including a school and airport. It was the strongest earthquake globally since 2011 and is among the top 10 strongest detected worldwide. It also brought a tsunami warning to Hawaii, California, Washington. Some waves did reach the U.S., but nothing major reported. This morning, all evacuation orders and warnings have been lifted for the U.S. Some parts of South America, though, they are still on alert. Officials warn that the strong currents may still occur along the coasts.
This morning, hearings continue following January's deadly mid-air crash over the Potomac River. You may remember an American Airlines jet with a flight crew from Charlotte and an Army helicopter collided, killing 67 people. Investigators are working to find out what went wrong and how to prevent future crashes.
We look at man, machine, and the environment in which they're operating. And that environment in which they're operating, we're not talking about literally the weather. That's part of it. What we're talking about is also safety policies, safety procedures. What are the systemic safety issues? So it's always easy for people to focus on there was a pilot error here. We don't know. We're going to look, but it's possible there was zero pilot error here.
Investigators claim the FAA missed several warning signs, including 85 near misses in Washington airspace. Those hearings are expected to last 3 days.
Approaching 8:15 now, and a live look right now at the futures markets, and investors should be pretty happy with numbers like that you see in green on the right. The NASDAQ and Dow way up in pre-market trading, a little over an hour, a little less than an hour before it opens. All comes just ahead of tomorrow's trade deal deadline. As the White House scrambles to make last-minute deals, President Trump issuing new tariffs against India.
NBC's Alice Barr has the latest on that and the president's ongoing fight to lower interest rates.
With just hours to go until President Trump's Friday deadline when hefty tariffs kick in for global trading partners that haven't reached a deal, the president announcing an agreement with South Korea for billions of dollars in new U.S. investment and 15% tariffs on goods entering the U.S., lower than he'd threatened but sharply higher than in recent years.
It's literally trillions of dollars ultimately being brought into our country. We're now negotiating with various other countries, and the rest we're just sending out the the bill.
Among the countries getting a heftier tab, India, slapped with a 25% tariff plus an additional import tax penalty for buying Russian oil amid the war on Ukraine. And then there's Brazil, hit with a 50% tariff that has many American coffee shops reeling and weighing price increases.
It would only be by cents because we don't want it to be where it's too much for the client.
That risk for tariffs pushing prices up, making the Federal Reserve keep interest rates steady rather than the rate cut President Trump has been publicly pressuring for to boost the economy.
We have no inflation, and we're very strong, and we should be lowering the rates.
Inflation ticked up slightly in June, but has trended downward overall this year, alongside low unemployment, strong market growth, and now word that after shrinking at the start of the year, the U.S. gross domestic product grew, a better than expected 3% this spring, with outlook for the months ahead still uncertain. The Federal Reserve chairman said higher tariffs have begun to show through in the prices of some goods, but that their overall impact on the economy remains to be seen. Rather than wait and see, President Trump arguing to try it out, saying that if lowering rates did lead to inflation, the Fed should just raise them again. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
More than 10 months after Hurricane Helene, recovery officials say they've removed more than 14 million cubic yards of debris from western North Carolina. Now, to put that in perspective, it's enough to circle the earth. While crews are still working to clear waterways, officials say the scale of this disaster is slowing them down.
The big one for us right now is some of the immediate need is continued funding for the U.S. Army Corps to complete the missions that they have here in North Carolina. I think that's going to be a really critical piece.
Officials also say they are still waiting to see $200 million in funding to pay for help from the Army Corps of Engineers, and that FEMA is aggressively denying requests.
Well, good morning, everybody. It is a beautiful day. Look at that beautiful sunshine across the horizon. You're still seeing some of that fog burning off from this morning, but I want to get to some stats. It's the last day of July, and you know I'm your stat man. Ski ba 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 dum bum. 84.7. That's where we're at for our average high and low together. Whew. That is the second hottest July on record, technically tying 1986, but hey, it's the most recent year, so I gave it the top spot. And also by the decimal point, we're just barely beating it. So it's second hottest July on record. But I actually went back over the last 4 months. And what's interesting is June was the 11th warmest, May a non-stat, 52nd warmest, but April was the first warmest. So that means that we've had 2 months now over the last 4 that have been in the top 5 for the warmest on record. I also went back and looked at the overall average temperature for the year. Well, through this date in climatology, this is the 6th warmest year on record up to this point, even with the number 1 and number 2 warmest months for April and July. But hey, we still have a long ways to go. Breaking down our July ranks even more, it's the lows that really brought us up the chart. This is the warmest set of lows that we've ever had in July history. And the second warmest for overall average just got to that. But our highs averaged close to 95 degrees for the month. That is substantial. 94.8 to be precise. That's the third hottest on record. So first, second, and third, just absolutely incredible. Over the next 7 days, we are completely flipping the script. Highs are in the 80s. So 5 days out of 7 in the 80s. So it means only 2 in the 90s. And one of those is actually today. So for your 7-day forecast, 93, 92, before boom, a big drop down to 80 degrees, rocking the 80s for the next 5, as I mentioned, starting on the weekend, and we should be back to around 90 degrees by next Friday. We are loving it. It is kind of those early fall vibes, but it's a false fall, so don't get too excited. Majestic, take it away. What's going on?
All right, good morning, everyone. Let's take a look at those area roadways. I-77 here at Gold Hill. You can see traffic is starting to increase, of course, as more people are waking up and heading out the door. Another live look here. This is at I-85. Not quite as busy. Area roadways are definitely drying up by this point after our morning time rain that many of us did experience. 34 minutes if you're coming in from Gastonia, out towards Matthews. Good morning. Just over 30 minutes to get you towards the Uptown area. My map is a little busy for you this morning, and we do have a big problem. It's actually out there on Independence. It's always busy on Independence this time of the day, but it doesn't help when we have an accident, and that's exactly what I'm watching. It's at exit 277. That's Television place inbound. Look at all of this red. This is about a 2-mile backup there. Another crash here. It's on Tuckasegee Road at Wilkinson Boulevard. It's not this red right there on 45. It's right next to us. So keep that in mind. We'll have another check on those roads all coming up in just a few minutes. But Larry, what's going on today?
Today it's on this day in history, last day of August, and notable events. Well, you got to go way back in time. You got to go back to the year 1790, July 31st. The first patent, that's right, the first patent in the United States was granted to Samuel Hopkins for a new process to make potash and pearl ash. Now, potash, not common terms, but potash is the main ingredient in making fertilizer, so a very important ingredient. Now, if you went to the Smithsonian, this is a copy of the document, but the actual document itself is at Mount Vernon. You can see it, 2 signatures, George Washington, and that's the top right-hand side, and that's Edmund Randolph. He was the Attorney General. So the first patent on this very day in history, the year was 1790. I'm Larry Sprinkle.
All right, Larry, thanks so much. 8:22 now. Looking ahead, next week, Grammy Award winner CeeLo Green will be in Charlotte. He'll be performing with Charlotte saxophonist Adrian Crutchfield at the Carolina Theater.
So we got the chance to talk to CeeLo right here on WCNC Plus and learned about his connection to Charlotte.
What can folks expect from this performance? If they've never been to a CeeLo show, I know you're going to be on stage with Adrian Crutchfield, but what can they expect, man?
First of all, thank you guys for having me. And so to answer your question, you can expect, maybe a mixture of old, new, and maybe some future and beyond too, because we're on the brink of releasing new music. So I may do something special, like do something new and unreleased, or some little twists and turns and some added surprises. You just never really know. When I do my show, I like to call it radio station CeeLo Green. So no ads though. You know what I mean? Like no commercials, man. Just straight hits, all killer, no filler. But I got family that people don't know that Adrian Crutchfield is my cousin. So he's my actual family, and I have family, man. Like, so what's up to everybody over there in the Beatties Ford area? You know what I'm saying? I have some relatives that went to Johnson C. Smith and all of that.
Oh, man, we didn't know that. Dude, we didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's going to be a family reunion on the 8th.
You know it. I've worn everything from wigs to wedding dresses to feathers and boas and you name it. Like I've done it. Or I've tried to do it, and amazingly enough, I've taken those leaps and I've landed on my feet, and people can receive it, as a an attribute of entertainment, because that's really all that it is. You know what I'm saying? And do I have a favorite outfit? I think I would say it's the Super Chicken outfit from the the Grammy performance with Gwyneth Paltrow, and I was performing "Forget You" with the Muppets. You know what I mean? And so it was inspired by Elton John performance on the Muppet Show when I was a kid. You guys should go back and check it out. It's Elton John performing Crocodile Rock on the Muppet Show. If you go back, you'll see it, and then you do an A/B. It's almost identical. And of course, Elton John himself, he was enamored, he was humbled. And he was just elated that I would honor him in that way. So there you have it.
How about that? Again,
I love that.
All the relatives here.
Yeah. Shout out to the Beatties Ford Corridor. That's what we like to
great.
hear. That performance taking place August 8th at the newly renovated Carolina Theater.
Tribute to Elton John. And,
Yeah.
Sure.
Elton
CeeLo
John was
Green.
famous for, had the chicken costume, that was on the Muppets, and then he was Donald Duck at that performance way back in 1980 at Central Park. So he loved to be flamboyant. He actually said, the one time I had a chance to ask him a question, it was only one question, a bunch of people from radio, and I said, what is this with all these outfits? He said, well, if you think about it, I just sit and play a piano. I'm not like Mick Jagger or David Bowie, people like that. He said, I have to be kind of flamboyant to when I perform. So that's the reason. And he still wears some pretty outrageous things.
CeeLo Green as well.
Yeah. Hopefully CeeLo
should
will
be
have
great
some...
at the Carolina Theater. That's going to be fantastic.
How about that?
That's going to be good. All right, we are going to take a quick break, but you keep it right here on WCNC Plus. Another check on your weather and traffic. Take a look at this. This is Lake Norman. Maybe you're going to be going out on the lake today. I don't know, a mix of cloud and suns. Chris is going to have more on your forecast coming up, and we'll have more of today's top headlines as well, starting at 8:30.
Well, good day, everybody. Today, mainly feeling up to about 100 degrees. I think we really have the mid to the upper 90s for the real feel for the maximum, but then I think from time to time it could feel as much as 100 to 101. That's the big thing about today. It's the moisture content that's in the air. That's why we are thriving as far as that's concerned. Our futurecast already popping up showers either side of noon. These become more scattered through the afternoon, and yet again, it's luck of the draw. It depends where you are. You could get all the rain or you could get none at all. So we'll see how your lawn will fare if you have one. We are continuing through the overnight, also keeping a rain chance around. But the big deal here in the short term is your Friday afternoon. These are slow moving storms. It's also a juiced up atmosphere. It's going to maximize our rain rates. Same thing really goes for today. So the days compounded. It's day 2 that'll have the better flood threat. And that's why we are weather alert for the back end of that forecast for your 7-day. Once that front clears, the clouds remain, the rain cooled air keeps us in the lower 80s. This is the coolest weekend we've had since late May. Enjoy the cool down. Majestic, what's going on?
All right, good Thursday morning, everyone. If you're heading out the door, boy, we do have a lot of accidents that are currently ongoing. Want to let you know about the most important one. It's right here. Yes, it's on Independence. Look at all of that red here. It's at exit 244. That's Television Boulevard. You can see that back up. It's about 2 miles. So maybe just take Monroe inbound instead. A new accident also now popping up. It's on 4th Street and Caldwell Street. I'm going to be covering everything you need to know coming up on WCNC Plus. Hope to see you over there soon.
Thanks for joining us live on WCNC Plus at 8:30. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. Happy today, Mecklenburg County leaders are giving you the chance to ask more questions about the 1-cent sales tax for transit.
It comes just a day after the county finalized more details of that bill. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards joins us live in the studio this morning. And Destiny, there is still some concern among many this morning.
That's right. Tonight's community meeting is meant to explain what this 1-cent sales tax would do. But even after county leaders finalized more details yesterday, there are still questions about who will really have a say in how the money is spent if this passes. Now, the sales tax plan is part of the newly passed PAVE Act. If approved, it would fund transportation projects like roads, rail, and buses across Mecklenburg County. Yesterday afternoon, the Metropolitan Transit Commission met to finalize referendum language and discuss the creation of a new transit authority. That board would control 60% of the revenue, but some advocates worry it won't reflect the people who rely most on public transit. Officials say at least one member appointed by city council and county commissioners must be a regular rider, but critics say that still leaves too many decisions in the hands of non-riders.
If you're a person with a disability, you ride the bus, you might say, hey, I know that the bus on Clinton Road is sitting on an incline. I need that to be fixed.
Tonight's meeting will be held at the West Charlotte Recreation Center from 6 to 7:30, and the next chance for the public to speak on the referendum will be August 6th at a county commission meeting just before they vote on whether to put this on the ballot. Ben.
Destiny, tell us more about this transit authority and when it might take shape.
Yeah, so right after, if the 1 cent sales tax is approved in November, then January 1st is when that new transit authority would have to be set in place. 27 members appointed by the city council and commissioners, county commissioners, and 2 of those members have to be, they set a requirement that 2 of them have to be regular transit riders. But of course, as expressed in that meeting, there's argument that that's not enough representation, and we do know that if no one comes forward that happens to be a regular rider, that requirement would be thrown out. So even fewer people on that board that actually take transit every day. So we'll have to see what happens, but that 27 member board would have to be in place by January 1st.
Incredibly important that you have people who actually are using the transit services to be hearing their voices. All right, thanks so much, Destiny.
All right, 8:32 right now here on WCNC Plus, and let's go back to live pictures right now. Kennedy Space Station, where SpaceX Crew 11 is set to launch in just a matter of hours from there at Kennedy. Set to happen around 12:09. All eyes on the forecast there. Of course, that often plays an important role. Speaking of, all eyes on the forecast here as well, just because it's Thursday and the weekend's just a couple days away.
Yeah, no dependency on 5-mile-per-hour winds for rocket launches, but you need to know the weather for everything, such as walking the dog like JoJo and Lainey. I do Dog of the Day on WCNC, and that's every day around 6:25 a.m. So want to recycle this for your dog walking forecast. The dog's paws are going to be okay over the next few hours, and then once you get up to about noon, temperatures are already challenging that 90-degree point, but the feels like could be as much as 99 to 101 during the peak of the afternoon. Also, on and off showers and storms will be the name of the game. That is going to allow for some rain rates up to 1 inch per hour. Some of us, I think, pick up to 1 inch of rain today. Others 0. So it's really a big discrepancy and a big difference depending where you live. And then that's going to lead to a better chance for flooding by the time you get to tomorrow. So tomorrow for your Friday, that's the only day that we're weather alert in the near term. I think that we can take a break from weather alert days because we don't have any heat that's any threatening, really any storms that are threatening, except for this day. And it's mainly during the afternoon and the evening. Of course, lightning is always going to be a possibility. There's an outside chance for hail, but there's also a slight chance. We have a low chance for severe storms now during the afternoon as well. Again, this is very low and slow moving thunderstorms, so really anything can go, but flash flood warnings are more likely than severe thunderstorm warnings, truly. Our Friday afternoon and the evening hours, it's really almost about a 9-hour period that I think most of the rain is going to fall, and I think some areas, including the rain that we see today, could see up to about 3 to 4 inches of rain when all is said and done. So that's why we do have that flash flood risk with some of those heavier downpours. It's called training rain, where it's one storm after another, or a really slow moving cell that continues to build on the back end. That's why you got to stay updated for alerts. It's always a good idea to also have some of those emergency alerts changed on just in case you have a considerable flash flood warning in your area. Also, the thunder is going to be loud. I know that doesn't really threaten you, but it could wake you up in a sudden stir. And the reason why is because we have a warm inversion. So that means all that heat at the surface after a hot day rises up and literally creates almost a sound wind tunnel that allows the sound to bounce back and forth. That's also why you usually hear that long rumble of thunder in environments like this that feels like it's forever ongoing. As I had mentioned, we have a low chance for flooding today, but it's a much higher chance by tomorrow because of the storm setup. I want to show you the rain rates alone before I get to a more detailed version of the forecast, focusing in on temperatures and such. Through today, you could have anywhere from about a quarter to an inch of rain. But then once you get to tomorrow, check this out. Notice how our values start to surge. We're seeing areas of those yellows and those oranges pop up. And if you look at our key up here, that shows a chance of up to 3 to 5 inches of rain. So I think 1 to 3 inches of rain is a possibility to fall across our area today and tomorrow. And then you just have some very, very light rain showers Friday night heading into Saturday. So just be on guard, be a weather alert, especially for tomorrow, but also for today for some of those passing showers and storms. We just have a juiced up atmosphere. We also have a damp road. Not too bad, but let's see if it's causing any issues with Majestic Storm. How's it looking, my friend?
Good morning, everyone. Well, you know, we do have a few smaller accidents that are ongoing for the most part, but you can see here's I-85, not looking too bad. A lot of cloud coverage out there. Temperatures are mild if you're heading out the door, and it's not too overly packed, at least in that live shot. Want to show you some of our drive times. Again, if you do have someplace to be, about 27 minutes out towards Belmont, just about 30 if you're coming in from Gastonia. Here's my map and what I'm looking at for now. Really, this is the biggest concern. It's on Independence. There's a crash. It's right on Independence and exit 244. That's Television Place. You can see all of this red here indicating that backup. So just forget about it. I would suggest just taking Monroe inbound. That'll help to make your morning commute a little faster. Another crash here. It's on 4th Street and Caldwell Street, right in the Uptown area. Seeing orange there, meaning that traffic is moving slowly right around it. And then the third last active crash is right here at Tuckasegee Road and Wilkinson Boulevard. Some yellow, meaning some minimal impacts. It's not all that red. That's 485. Otherwise, we're seeing still those slowdowns on the inner loop of 485 out towards Matthews. No accidents, just a lot of people all heading in the same direction. And then, hey, if you are waking up in South Carolina, good morning to you, Rock Hill. I-77 is seeming okay right now. Starting to see our typical slowdowns along I-77 out towards Cornelius and Huntersville. Live look out there. This is coming in from York County, shaping up to be an all right morning. We'll have another check on those roads all coming up here in a little while.
Majestic things. Turning down to an update this morning, as overnight we learned a 17-year-old is now charged in the death of a Cordova junior firefighter. We told you about Gabriel Innes' death back when it happened. Now a Richmond senior high student is charged with first-degree murder. Deputies say he killed a 16-year-old at a home in Ellerby back in June. The controversial Silfab solar plant in York County facing a new lawsuit this morning. Jason Rhodes claims he was fired after raising safety concerns. He says he reported issues to the company and then to the fire marshal, which prompted an inspection and a stop in some of the work there. Silfab says it's reviewing the allegations but denies firing Rhodes because of any complaints.
A scam alert this morning as kids get ready to head back to school. This school year, parents, family, and friends will have the chance to stream their students' games. As the Better Business Bureau warns, that doesn't come without thieves trying to steal your money. Juliana O'Rourke joined us on our live Impact News to share some of the signs to look out for.
Now, what are the red flags here?
Yeah, so anything, you know, if there's a platform that says you can stream something for free, there is a chance they may ask you for your information, you know, your name and your email. They want you to register an account. However, if they ask you to pay for anything, that's where you want to be super cautious and don't put in your credit card information, especially if they're touting that it's free. But just like we always talk about with fake websites, shopping online, and looking for different things, you want to check out whatever website you're clicking on, especially if you're just kind of randomly searching online, especially if you see that link on a social media platform. You want to look to see, you know, are there spelling errors? Does this look like an actual legitimate site? What's the URL? Is it weird? Is it an actual company? So those are some of the things you can do when you actually get to the site. Is it secure? You know, HTTPS. Those are all things that you can look at. One of the biggest recommendations we give people is if you know the school that they're going to, go to that school's website. See if they actually would stream directly from their website, or even if they give information on how to stream that particular game, just because obviously it's their school. They want people to watch, right?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good tip.
So those are some things that you could do to be careful so you don't get taken advantage of, because we know, unfortunately, this happens every day to people.
Cool. Back to school photos, very exciting. exciting time once again. These are all the things that we look forward to for the young ones and that first day of school. So now trying to capture these yearly milestones, what information here in these photos can also be risky. What are you talking about?
Yeah, so we know that people like to post, their kids going back to school. It's a big milestone when they enter a new grade. So oftentimes we see these pictures where they're holding a sign, they have their name, what school they're going to, what grade they're in, maybe their height, their age. A lot of information that you don't want to get in the wrong hands. And so I know it's very popular. A lot of people like to do it, but we encourage people to not do that, especially with putting out all of that information about your child. Scammers can take that information. They can try to make friends with your child. Now they know where they go to school. And if somebody approaches your child and they know all this stuff about them, they know your parents' name. They say, oh, I'm friends with your parents. I know you're in this grade. I know you go to school here. And I know you're such and such age. And all these things. That is really scary, especially for, a child that's young.
Lots of good information there. You can watch that full interview right here on WCNC Plus. New this morning, CMS trying to address the financial struggle for educators. The district is pushing forward plans to provide affordable housing for teachers in a so-called teacher village. Right now, it's targeting a 7-acre plot of land next to Garinger High School at East Sugar Creek Road and Eastway Drive. The proposed complex would hold about 100 homes and serve as a blueprint for future projects.
Fort Mill parents, listen up. Major traffic changes coming just before classes start Monday. For the first time in years, the district will not have traffic guards directing vehicles. We're told its vendor backed out. Don't worry, crossing guards will still be there to help students at crosswalks. 6 schools will only allow right turns during pickup and drop off to keep traffic moving. Police plan to increase their presence, and the district urged parents to consider using the bus or having students leave early. Of course, it comes just a year after a Fort Mill crossing guard was hit and killed while working. The crash deemed an accident, no charges filed. For all the details surrounding some of these new rules in place, head on over to the WCNC Charlotte mobile app. At York School District 1, Monday won't be the first day of school just for the students, but also for their new superintendent.
Dr. Heath Branham joined the district this month. I got the chance to sit down with him to talk about his vision for the district. So this is your 30th day? July 1st was your first day?
Yes, officially.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did some contract work in June to work with the previous superintendent for transition purposes, which was really helpful. But I've had an incredible first month meeting the people that make this district come to life, kids, families, leaders, both inside of the district office, but also our communities. Our school principals.
Is it what you expected?
Well, it is a position, but I don't see it as a nameplate or an office or a chair. I see it as impact. I see it as someone who can help connect the dots for the great things that are already happening here, addressing any challenges that we have head on, but I also see it as boots on the ground. So yes, I have an office, I have a nice chair in my office, but to me, the best leadership is with people, in the trenches with people. And so that's why I've spent so much time outside of this building, getting to know people, getting to know their story, because everyone has a story. And listening to what has been uniquely tradition here, that are great traditions for students and families, but then also looking at opportunities for areas of challenge.
What's your vision coming in? This is your first year. What are you looking forward to this year, and what's your vision for this district?
Right, so when I talk to people about vision, I would never say it's my vision. I think it has to be our vision. For a vision to truly be realized, it can't be about one person, it has to be about the collective whole. And so this district has a mantra or a vision of being connected as one, meaning we're connecting all the dots, and all of that is to support students. We do have a theme this year that connects with that vision, and that is to be seen, to be heard, and to belong. Because every staff member wants to be seen and to be heard. Every student wants to be seen and to be heard. Every community member, parent, family member wants to be seen and be heard. And at the end of the day, we all want to belong to the greater organization.
A lot of insights there from Dr. Branham. We also talked about AI in the classroom, the growth in his school district, parent involvement, and a lot more. And of course, you can watch that full interview coming up on our live Impact News right here on WCNC Plus, starting in a few minutes at 9 o'clock. All right, take a look at your screen right now so that you can scan this QR code. Many students start the school year without the supplies they need. That's why we're partnering with United Way for a back-to-school supply drive. You can scan that QR code to donate now, or you can go to our website website, WCNC.com/community. You can donate until August 11th. Some athletes are back at practice this week, but with some changes to address the scorching temperatures.
Of course, we know safety is always a big priority, but are there specific rules schools are required to follow? WCNC Charlotte's Megan Bragg verifies.
In North Carolina, there are rules that outline when athletes should take breaks, drink water, and not practice at all. So let's verify. Our sources, Dr. Karen Shukla, a sports medicine provider with Novant Health Randolph Family Medicine, the Environmental Protection Agency, and the North Carolina High School Athletic Association. With the summer heat, there are many dangers of athletes practicing in high temps.
When we are exposed to high degrees of heat in very humid weather, our bodies are unable to regulate our temperatures effectively, and we can suffer from a wide range of symptoms.
According to the EPA, children and teens are among the most vulnerable to heat-related illness. The NCHSAA has set rules for athletes training during the summer months. If the heat index is less than 80, students can have unlimited practice with scheduled mandatory breaks. When it's 80 to 84, coaches need to monitor students more closely with mandatory breaks. When it reaches 88 to 89, that's when all athletes must be under constant observation. Equipment and pads should also be removed and rest breaks every 15 minutes. Recovery tools like immersion tubs should also be in place. When it reaches 90 or above, practice should be suspended. Coaches are supposed to have an emergency plan in place ahead of practices. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
And if there's something you would like us to verify, all you got to do, reach out to us. Email us at verify@wcnc.com.
All right, it's another hot and humid day. The heat index is actually going to be close to 100, but the actual air temperature in the lower 90s. I'm going to show you something. This is a complex part of meteorology, but I'm trying to simplify it here. So I oftentimes will show you a map here showing atmospheric moisture. It's called precipitable water. Literally all that means is a certain value that if you were to completely squeeze the atmosphere, how much rain could potentially fall. The highest that this number usually goes is over 3 inches. Once you get to about the 2 range, you're near tropical air. And that's exactly what we have today and tomorrow. But then once we get into the weekend, we're returning to this dry zone. So whenever you see these maps, these are actually true values, but it shows how dry we're actually going to be. We're usually dancing in this wet range right here. Seeing anything drop down below 1 means that if it does rain, one given rainstorm likely will not even produce an inch of rain. So we're really heading in a good direction. But also, whenever you have as much fuel as I was just showing you, and then you also have something to drive it up like a front and it's already been raining, that gives you a better chance for flash flooding or excessive rainfall. So a low chance for flooding today and a medium threat for tomorrow. I already showed you this map, but this is where we left off. That's where I left my weather bookmark. We are seeing a range about 1 to 3 inches possible over the next couple of days. But some areas, even though you don't see the actual numbers on here, could pick up this range. Look at their color coding right here. 3 to 5 inches of rain would be possible. And if that's going to be the case in the scenario, especially if most of it falls on Friday, that's where you could have some flash flood warnings. Some lower end risk that we're seeing here is really an average, I think up to about 1 to 1.5 inches for the upper bounds, but then some areas still reaching up to that 3+ range. So let's get to your futurecast. When's it going to rain? Well, pretty much each hour over the next 48 has some sort of chance of rain somewhere here on our map. But if I were to narrow it down, it's really either side of noon that we see the first signs of storms starting to move in. Then we have scattered showers and thunderstorms spread across the afternoon. The usual stuff you see here during the summertime. Overnight, I think you're going to see what we had earlier this morning, where you have clusters of thunderstorms that could gather together and then it leads to widespread rain. We don't really see that here on our futurecast. It does pick up on some morning showers to pop up out of nowhere. Just don't be surprised if you have a wet road again to start off your morning commute. Then by the middle of the afternoon, really after 2, storms are jumping and you're going to have a line of storms potentially. And once you have a line like this that's slow moving, that's where you could potentially have some flash flood warnings along this. And I'm not discounting the chance for some damaging winds along this line as well. So it's mainly about mid to late afternoon to the early evening that we're seeing the best time frame. Let's call it about 2 to 8, but some lingering activity is still going to be possible after that point. On and off rain, some pockets of some heavier rain, and then eventually the cloud cover will break by late day or at least by Sunday. Muggy meter staying muggy. But then after this, we are really heading in a nice direction. Check this out. The How You Feel cast. We are muggy today and tomorrow, but only a bit sticky to borderline comfortable by Sunday. So Sunday as right now and Monday, trying to be the picks of the week. Have to decide. I'll make my proclamation by tomorrow, but lower to the mid 80s through this weekend, through the middle of next week, back to 90 by next Friday. So there's your weather report. Up next, traffic. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. If you have places to be and you're heading out the door anytime soon, well, we do have several smaller ongoing wrecks that I'm going to let you know about, but here's a live look outside. I-85 not looking too bad at this point. Drive times are pretty typical as you're heading out the door, 26 minutes if you're coming in from Belmont. My live traffic map is a little busy, not perfect, but we've surely seen it a whole lot worse than this before. Independence still following this ongoing crash. It's on 277. That's the exit, so Television Place. You can see that backup right there. That's those inbound lanes. So I'd say forget about it and just take Monroe inbound. That'll be your best bet to get right around it. Another crash here. It's on 4th Street and Caldwell Street. This is in the Uptown area. There's a picture of that. And then the left lane is now blocked because of a crash. It's on Tryon Street northbound at Tremont Ave. You can see those colors there, meaning that cars are slowed down just a bit. We did have this previous accident. It was on Tuckasegee Road. I've been talking about it over the last 30 minutes or so. That has since been cleared, so making some nice improvements there. Otherwise, I-485 out towards Matthews, always a watch spot for me and Shirley. We don't have any accidents there, Lisa, but we're just seeing those slowdowns as people are starting their Thursday morning commute.
Take it slow. All right. Thanks so much, Majestic. 8:52 now. It is time for us to connect the dots. When we make the news make sense. The sweetener in your soda could soon change, but don't expect it to make your drink any healthier. Americans drink a lot of soda, about 5 cans a week on average. Now, some brands are switching sweeteners. Let's connect the dots. Coca-Cola says it will launch a soda made with cane sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup. PepsiCo may follow if customers want it. But health experts say don't be fooled. Whether it's corn syrup or cane sugar, it's still sugar. Studies show both are linked to weight gain, diabetes, and heart disease. So what's the difference? Corn syrup has slightly more fructose than table sugar. Fructose is more likely to turn into fat in your liver, which could raise long-term health risks. But both are heavily processed and offer no nutritional benefit. Bottom line, switching to cane sugar doesn't make soda healthy. Experts say we need to drink less of it, no matter what's inside. And that's connecting the dots. It is a fact that we should all know by now. Don't believe everything that you see online.
It's very easy to say. It's harder to actually do in process, especially when it happens to be your health. So many influencers out there posting about amazing health results from just simple diet changes. That's what they say. It's easy to start believing it, but that's why our Megan Bragg spoke to a dietitian to learn how you can spot real results.
I lost 25 pounds and 2 pant sizes in just 3 weeks.
My friend put me onto these She Legit honey sticks.
When it comes to weight loss tips, social media has thousands of different diets. Some that contradict themselves and others that just seem plain strange. So who can you listen to? Dietitian Kristen Kirkpatrick with the Cleveland Clinic says you really should be skeptical of everything you see.
Having a lot of followers doesn't mean that someone actually has the medical credentials to be able to provide that guidance.
Kirkpatrick says people should consider the kind of advice the influencer is giving. Is it more broad or more specific? And if they can present any data, like links to studies that back their claims. The Mayo Clinic also suggests if any influencer is promoting a supplement, you can look to see if they are getting paid to promote it. At the bottom of a TikTok video, it should say creator earns commission. Also, look for hashtags. According to the Federal Trade Commission, influencers need to post hashtag ad if the post is sponsored. Not every diet works for everyone. Kirkpatrick says talk to your doctor or nutritionist to see which diet would work the best for you. Megan Bragg, WCNC Charlotte.
All right, well, we are going to take a quick break, but make sure you stay right here with us on WCNC Plus. At the top of the hour, we are going to check in with our Jane Monreal. In fact, she's going to take over from our live Impact News studio. She's going to be talking to a doctor about a type of lung disease that's on the rise. It's often mistaken for asthma or bronchitis. Also, all the live breaking events as they happen across our area and across the nation, right here on WCNC Plus.
Good morning, everybody. Local temperatures right now, most of us in the 70s, not Charlotte. Charlotte's like, you know, I'll get ahead of the pack, up to 80 degrees already. The last couple of days, we've been at 94. Today, 93. It's not a big difference. And also, we have more scattered thunderstorms. And some of us will receive up to an inch, others nothing at all. It's going to be that scattered. But then more likely by tomorrow, I think a lot more impacted by this. That's why our weather alert as well, better chance for flooding, even an outside severe thunderstorm chance as well. And then by the weekend, we see a big dip in temperatures, more clouds than sun on Saturday, back to 80 and sticking to the 80s into next week. Majestic, what's going on traffic-wise?
Good morning, everyone. Let's take a look at those area roadways. If you got places to be, you got things to do. I-77 here at Gold Hill, not looking too bad. That's coming in from South Carolina. Another live shot here. A lot of cloud coverage. Area roadways, though, are dry by this point. Our drive times are looking pretty typical for this time of the day, about 30 minutes if you're coming in from Gastonia. And our live traffic maps, not too bad following this one ongoing crash, though. It's in the Uptown area around 4th Street and Caldwell. Have a great Thursday.
Good morning.